So give me a second, and I think we should be good to go. The record button's up in the corner.
Okay, well, good deal. We can go ahead and call the meeting to order. Before we get into the agenda, just for those of you who don't know, we want to give Jason a big congratulations. He is just recently been named Director of Recreation.
Thanks, Kyle. It's going to be a fun ride, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you, just like all the ad hoc committees, and to build all these projects and make Norman Parks and Recreation the best it can be. So, I'm going to need everybody's help. So I'm looking forward to this journey we're about to go on.
It looks like you're needing so much help that you're cloning yourself, because I see another Jason Olsen on here. So
I have to do that to record.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yes, I only have an iPad, so I have to do that to record and share my screen. So,
okay. All right. Well, I called the meeting to order, so I'll go ahead and do the roll call. Just go ahead and make sure you're off mute when you are saying that you're here. Alva Brackus. Okay. I am here. Steve McDaniel.
here.
Okay. Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick. Okay. Kent Nicholson.
I'm here.
Okay. Joe Pasley. Nope. Richie Split.
I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Carrie Trammell.
I'm here. Hello.
Hello, Carrie. Brian Vineyard.
I'm here.
All right. Hello.
I'm here.
Nancy Yock.
Here.
Present. Okay. Sue Favors.
Here.
Hi, Sue. Christy Isaacson. No, Christy. Okay. Cynthia Rogers. I see you on here, Cynthia. I didn't hear you, but I know you're here. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Chris Moxley. Where's that guy? No, Chris. Okay. All right. Next agenda item is the review of the minutes from last September. It's been a minute since we've met. So Carla sent those out already. So you all have had an opportunity to review the minutes. Any questions or changes?
We had a couple people jump in. Kyle, Brian Vineyard, Alva Brackus, I think, just joined us.
Okay. Yeah, I got Brian. Alva, I've got you down now. Thanks, Kent.
Yeah, we got that noted, and just let Brian and Alvin know. I believe when we take a vote, if we take a vote on anything, that you'll need to turn your camera on.
Oh yeah, got to turn your camera on. For both
Not
teams.
necessarily right now, just if and when we take a vote.
Okay. All right. Okay. So any questions on the minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September of last year.
So moved.
Okay, Alva moved. Okay, Kent seconded.
I will second, whatever.
Okay. All right. All those, how are you all doing this, Jason? I just tell people to raise their hand.
We'll do a roll call. Either Carla can do that, or you can do it.
We'll do a roll call. Okay. All right. Alva, approve the minutes? Yay, nay?
Approved, yay.
Okay, I approve. Steve?
I approve.
Sorry, Ron, I just wanted to know if I'm doing everything that's on that paper.
Kent?
Yes, I approve.
Okay, Richie?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Brian?
Approved.
Nancy?
Yes.
And that's it for our voting members. Okay. All right. Okay. Next, we do need to vote on the approval of the agenda, which was also part of the attachment. So we have to vote on our agenda every meeting. So I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Richie.
Richie, okay, is there a second?
Second.
Number two. Okay, Steve, I'll give you credit for the second. Okay. All right, we'll go through all those in favor. Let's just say aye. So Alva,
Aye.
Okay, I approve also. Steve,
Aye.
Kent,
Aye.
Richie,
Aye.
Carrie,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and Nancy.
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay, well, Jason, I'll kind of let you kind of lead us from here so we can move on to the next item, which is the introduction of our operator.
Perfect. Thanks, Kyle. I'm trying to remember back when it was, but it was earlier this year. We did interview operators, and we selected Santa Fe Family Life Center as our operator at the multi-sports and aquatics facility. Before I get too far along, let me go ahead and say that the young family has come up with a decision of what to name this place. It's a little bit easier to say. It's not quite as a tongue twister, and it's they have chosen the Young Family Athletic Center. Like to introduce y'all to that name, and we will be running that through the proper channels at some point in time. But the like I was saying earlier, Santa Fe Family Life Center was selected as the operator. They have an MOU agreement with the city, and asked them to come on so that basically they can introduce themselves and do a little bit of their presentation they did to us, and they sold us very well. And I would like to go ahead and hand everything over to Santa Fe and let them show you what they're going to do for program.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Thank you all. We're excited to be here and excited to be a part of the project. We'll keep it pretty quick here, but am I able to share my screen? I can show you a little slideshow thing.
By the way, I didn't properly introduce. This is James Timberlake. He is the executive director of Santa Fe Family Life Center. And yes, you do have permission to share your screen.
Okay. Let's see if we can get it to work. If we can get this to work, hopefully. Maybe. Zoom. I don't know.
Do you have permissions, James?
I think so. It's giving me something that's not letting me.
Hold on. Let me make sure that you have. I'll make you a co-host real quick.
Okay.
Let's see if that helps.
There we go. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So again, thank you, Jason. Like Jason said, I'm James Timberlake. I have the privilege of serving here as the executive director at the Santa Fe Family Life Center. We'll go through a little bit of our programming presentation, introduce some of our other staff, and then if you guys want questions, we can have time for questions, but don't want to take up too much of your time. We'll just kind of hit the high points here, provide an overview of current programs, and then what we're planning for the Young Family Athletic Center, just kind of a little bit to get to know us, and can definitely provide more detail as needed or if you have further questions. But our theme for operating this facility and the approach is competition and community. We've been operating high-level sports and fitness for over 11 years here in Oklahoma City, and our work is divided into three areas. We provide sports from developmental programs to elite competition. We offer training for athlete development. And we provide robust community programs and outreach. We work to improve the health and fitness of our community and provide opportunities to grow in community as well. And our charitable programs focus on providing opportunities for individuals with disabilities and disadvantaged youth. Our current facility is a 75,000 square foot facility. We have 4 basketball courts, 6 volleyball courts, a 25-meter pool, 4 tennis courts, 2 sand volleyball courts, weights, cardio group exercise, and so I have some good experience operating what we'll have at the Young Family Center here in Norman. And for this facility, we're planning a concept of highly competitive sports and swimming combined with programs for the Norman community. So in one day, somebody will be able to see professional athletes train, competitive team practice, youth basketball practice, high school swim teams practice, and maybe even pickleball, all within a single day. The organization of the facility will be governed by a board of directors, and this will be a combination of some of our current board members and Norman community leaders. We believe it's important that the needs of Norman are met, and so they'll have that representation at the board, but also on an advisory council that we're going to establish. The key staff will be myself, Gary Vick, and apologize, this is an older slideshow, so I don't have a couple of our new staff on here, but we've recently hired a new director of operations, Mr. Brian Jackson, and a director of development and programs, Mrs. Christy Burke Steinberg. So a couple of new staff here, and we'll get the chance to introduce them here in a little bit. Next slide here. So the opportunity, so for this facility, the opportunity will be open for all ages and abilities to participate in recreational and highly competitive sports and aquatics. Community.
James, I don't think your slideshow is changing on our
Oh
screen.
no, I'm on the fourth slide. Has it been on the same one the whole time?
Yeah. So
Oh my goodness. You're probably like, what is this guy talking about? Let's try this. How about now? Does it say
yay.
opportunity?
Yes, we can see it now.
All right. So you missed the staff. All right. They didn't miss much. Opportunity. And then, so further development of the economy and prestige in Norman. Is it working? Next slide you saw? Our focus. Nice. So our focus is divided on two things at Santa Fe: sports and health. And it breaks down to youth sports, adult sports, adaptive sports, and wellness. Our goals for the facility are to serve and improve the health of the citizens of Norman, to become a premier destination for basketball, volleyball, and swimming, to routinely attract participants from 4-hour or greater drive time, and to collaborate with Norman Regional for high-tech training, sports medicine, and physical therapy programs, for participants to access the facility regardless of their ability to pay, and to create significant economic impact in the city of Norman. This will be done through high-level competition in aquatics, basketball, volleyball, and then a couple of other accessory sports with pickleball, futsal. Also look at other opportunities. The space allows for wrestling, gymnastics, and all sports camps, and some of those other accessory programs. The reach, we anticipate the facility will have a reach of a drive time of 4 to 5 hours, all the way up to Kansas City in the north, south down past Dallas and Waco towards Austin. And we'll attract people from a multi-state region to come participate in tournaments and events. A big part of what we do is community focused, and community wellness is a big part of that. And so in preparation for the opening of the facility, we'll conduct a community assessment and strengthen relationships with partner organizations. So determining those groups in Norman to work with and partner with, and we've already begun to do that and have met with some of those key groups there in Norman and want to build even stronger relationships with them. Then this will provide and ensure that the needs of the community are first identified, but then met through appropriate programs as they're developed at the facility, and so that we're meeting the needs of the people of Norman as those come up or change, and continue to monitor that and do what's needed there in the community. Like I mentioned, one of our goals is to really work with the local groups and have them have a strong presence in the facility. To provide access for the citizens of Norman, there'll be access for citizens to come participate, to utilize the facility. In addition to the high level sports and aquatics competitions, there'll be a lot of access for the citizens of Norman. They're the ones ultimately paying for it, and so they need to have access to the facility. Then we'll also have social programming and bring a lot of our charitable programs to this facility as well, especially the wheelchair basketball. We anticipate that'll be big. With the 8 courts, you'll be able to attract some of the national tournaments, which will be really neat. Staffing and management, we'll just kind of go through these kind of quickly. I think most of you have seen some of these. But myself and Gary will be instrumental in the facility. And then, like I said, Brian and Christy are some of our new staff as well. But then we'll have, within sports, we'll have dedicated staff for each of those different sports areas of the facility. And then again, governed by the board of directors and advisory council. Just a couple of the key things to mention here as we're preparing to open the facility. A couple of the big things are our marketing and communication. I mean, these are huge as we're continuing to get ready to open the facility. And a big part of that, we're excited to welcome Christy to the team as our director for development and programs. She's got a lot of experience with marketing and outreach and promotion, and she'll be able to have a big part in this facility to get those things going. Some of the kind of the newer technology-based marketing avenues she's really well versed in, which is really nice. Something I'm not super experienced with, so I think it'll be nice to really push on those. And then in communications, having those dedicated staff people, but then also just continuing to use those softwares and programs that we're currently using. It'll be an easy transition to add another facility to those programs, and just to get those up and running pretty quickly. These are the estimated economic impact numbers from the, I think from your guys' committee's presentation to the Norman City Council. We're excited to partner with you all and strive to achieve these numbers. I think it might have been based on maybe the larger aquatic center, but we're still, excited to really work with you all and partner with you to strive towards these numbers. I think this facility is going to have a huge impact in not just Norman, but I think the entire, state of Oklahoma. And so for us, we're really excited to be a part of that and partner with you all and do what we can to serve the Norman community. And that's it. That's what we have for the presentation. I don't know if you wanted to take time for questions. If you want me to introduce some of the other staff so you can see their face a little bit, but don't want to take up too much of your meeting.
James, I've got a question for you. First of all, congratulations on being selected as the operator.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'd mentioned a board of directors and advisory council. Are those two separate things, or are you talking about one entity?
Two separate.
Okay. So is the board of directors, how will they be selected? And are you saying that they actually have oversight over what you all do?
Yes, so that's the governing structure for our legal entity. So we're still trying to determine if it needs to be a separate legal entity for this facility or if it can be within the current Santa Fe legal entity. And so that's something we're working with our attorney right now to determine the best route. But for certain, there will be representatives from the city of Norman that would need to be on that board of directors, since that's kind of the oversight of our organization, kind of the legal entity.
And then as far as an advisory council, are you thinking about like representation from the different sports, community members?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Do you also have, you'd mentioned this like with, like wheelchair basketball and stuff. Do you have any underserved populations that you are targeting?
Yes. So within our mission, we serve people with disabilities and disadvantaged youth. And a lot of those are our sports programs. So providing opportunities for kids to participate through scholarships and other programs that may not have the financial means to otherwise participate. And so we have a scholarship program that we use for that, a sliding scale for fees as well. So there's kind of partial scholarships, but then also certainly full scholarships as needed. And there's an application process that teams can go through, or individuals as well, for scholarships. The goal is that anyone can participate regardless if they're able to afford it or not. We want to provide access for everyone in Norman, but then the greater community as well.
Sounds good. You want to go ahead and introduce your team, and then we'll see if anybody else has any other questions.
Sure. So I'll let them rotate up here in front of the computer. So up first is Mr. Gary Vick. He's our sports director.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon. as James said, I serve as a sports director here, and we're serving the same role in the Norman facility. Excited, looking forward, going forward with this project. James touched on pretty much all the things we've talked about. However, I'm going to say that I believe the community involvement with this project is probably greater than perhaps some of the national acclaim that we all want from it. I think as we get further along, and I have an opportunity to visit with, maybe Jason could lead me to the right people with the Norman community. You got Norman Optimist, you have the other programs there, and get their thoughts and desires in the involvement. So it's exciting, looking forward to it.
Gary, you hit the nail on the head. That's one of our biggest user groups. And actually, part of our ad hoc committee is the president. Are you still president, Carrie?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and we talked about this in a presentation, and it's so much different than what we do here now. Right now, we're known as a competitive facility, et cetera. We don't have that reach into the community that we will need to have in Norman. So that's the key. I'm excited, really am. I could talk basketball all day. I don't want to take up your time. I appreciate your time, though.
Oh, we can keep talking basketball. That's fine, Gary.
Yeah, we could. Yes, sir. We could. I'm sure we will down the line. So
Look forward to it.
Welcome, Gary. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Here you go. Hi, my name is Christy Burke Steinberg. I am the Director of Development and Programs here at Santa Fe. This is week 3 of me being here, so I'm still learning the ropes, but I came here from the Oklahoma City Community Foundation. I started a program called Keep Moving OKC. It's a wellness initiative that ties all things physical activity free or low cost into Central Oklahoma website. So my, like you said, marketing and communications background tied with fundraising and program development will hopefully be utilized to really build this facility up and get it well known.
Thank you. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you.
All right, hi guys, I'm Ryan Jackson, just like everybody else, definitely excited to be here, pumped about this project. I've been here at Santa Fe for about 4 months. I'm the Director of Operations, so kind of the day-to-day, just staffing, hiring, membership, coordinating those types of deals, make sure everything is smooth so people can run their programs. I've got a fitness background, so I'm definitely excited about how we can kind of tie in some fitness stuff with the community into kind of the aquatics and basketball and just in other sports, of course, but I think there's a great opportunity there we can definitely tap into. So really just excited like everybody else to be here and grateful to be a part of the team.
Thanks, Ryan. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll turn it back to James here.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for James or any member of his team? Dr. Rogers, I think you've got one. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Sorry, I came late. I had a Zoom Wi-Fi issue, and then of course somebody came to the door. So I have a question, and you don't have to answer it now, but if you could send me the information about where those economic impact figures came from, like what model, who did those, what were the assumptions, sorts of things. I'm always curious to see where they come from and then to look and see how they played out. So it's kind of a technical question.
Perfect. Cynthia, I think those numbers came from Visit Norman. They would have to tell you exactly where they came from, but that was a presentation they did a few times before the second Norm Ford election back in last August. And I will say it's kind of like what James said, that poll figure was on the larger pool. I don't think they've redone an economic impact for what the smaller pool will do.
Well,
but yeah, I think that we can get you in touch with Visit Norman and they can tell you exactly how they came up with those numbers or what group they used.
This is just my little pet peeve. None of these are economic impacts per se. They're kind of some kind of projections about maybe activity related to the facility, which is fine. They are what they are. I'm always out to make sure we're talking about things appropriately and see what a assumptions go into those. So maybe, I don't know, Jason, I don't know who can get me this info. I'm sure I've asked before, but I'll ask again. I'll just keep asking until hopefully we'll get more information about those. Thank you.
I'll do my best, Cynthia. Promise.
Okay, other questions for Santa Fe? Okay. All right, well, James, thank you so much. We're excited to be working with your team. I know you all are as well. Looking forward to groundbreaking, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, start churning some dirt. Okay. All right, moving forward. So we're gonna go to agenda 5. So the presentation of schematic design package from FSB. So I will turn it over to you all.
Thank you very much. My name is John Slider. I'm the project manager for this at FSB, and I have presented this particular presentation before, and hopefully you've all got a copy of this already, but if you don't, I'll be glad to supply that. Let me move over and see if I can you all see my screen?
Try it again, John.
Let me try that again. How about now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, this is the Young Family Multisport Facility, which is the Young Family Athletics Center now, as Jason has all given of to us. These are the major contributors for this. Of course, there are more, but Norman Regional, of course, JHBR, FSB, and BRS are all a part of this, among several other firms that we've got working on this in design. And of course, this doesn't even take into account the construction and the construction management, which of course is being taken care of by G.E. Johnson. This facility, as you can see here, is on a piece of property that, I'll move this further down, is put on a piece of property right next to the airport, which is right over here. You can see we're right here next to Embassy Suites on Northwest 24th Street. And we've got this, not this entire lot here, but more like just this piece right here. And we'll get into further details of that momentarily. And I'm going to skip through some of the more wordy portions of this and just go right for the parts that are going to make a difference in your minds. This is the lot. As you can see, here's Rock Creek Road and 24th Avenue Northwest. You can see that this is the piece of property that the city has or is in the works of purchasing currently. And this is an easement road that would attach it to it. And of course, right over here is the Embassy Suites that we would also attach to right there. Our building is put right up against the airport with a lot of parking and bus parking right out here. And of course, area has been made available for a future natatorium for a 15-year pool or other facilities as the city so dictates. And of course, a proposed gymnasium addition that we could add on to the existing gymnasium to add even more courts and more volleyball to this. You can see out in back, as proposed by JHBR, is the outdoor turf field. This is in the point right now in design development, so it is changing even as we go through this, but not changing enough to talk about. This is what you're going to get, is what I'm giving you right now from the SD proposal. We had another proposal where we do a very somewhat of a larger building, but you can see as we go back and forth between them, we're not impacting the facility very much, just a tad to add even more onto it as an alternate. And of course, keeping all the parking, all the bus parking, and of course, everything about the proposed additions in the future. This is our facility. This is kind of turned on its side, so it's easier to understand. On the left-hand side, you're going to see our natatorium, which is right here. This natatorium is broken into 2 pieces. You're going to have the warm-up lanes over here and the competition lanes over here, spectators right here, and then of course gym places for the teams to sit right there and coaches, and then of course all the mechanical that's going to facilitate this natatorium. Sandwiched in between the new wellness center done by Norman Regional is the locker room systems, where you're going to have men's, women's, boys, and girls, and of course public restrooms, and of course lifeguards and aquatics, which goes into the administration area that's going to be run by our good friends at Santa Fe. This piece right here, of course, is the Norman Regional Hospital portion. There is a second floor to this, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But we move on to the gymnasium, which is right here. You can see all the basketball courts and volleyball courts have been laid out. In brown, we're showing all the connector corridors that bring this all together. Now, these connector corridors and the corridors that are pieces that are out here, one for the main lobby, another one for the concessions, another one for the gymnasium lobby, and one more for the gymnasium, just court in general, are all good places for lay down equipment. You can bring your teams in here. They have places to be, not only coming into the facility, but leaving the facility, because when all the courts are in use in a tournament, of course, you're going to need lay down space for all these people. This is a rendition just of the gymnasium. You can see we've laid out all of the basketball courts plus the professional court. Now, all the seating around it is on tip and roll, so it can be moved from place to place as required. We're just showing it all around here to be able to show that this can be used and all the people can watch this basketball court when in use. Another version of this exact same thing, except we're just outlining the volleyball courts and how they would lay out on top of the gymnasium courts for basketball. Going on further, this is just an alternate to it where we do a little bit more. We have the same basketball courts, but more volleyball courts. There is looking at it from a bird's eye view. We're looking down on the facility on the roof, and you're going to see we have a metal roof right here, or a flat roof that we're going to bring straight down into the north. And over the gymnasium, we're bringing it from front to back. We're going to put RTU units either on the roof or on the ground. We're going through that right now. And of course, this roof right here connects you all to the standing seam metal roof for the curves of the entry piece to the main facility and the entry piece to the gymnasium. Let me fast forward through a lot of this, which is just reiteration of the things I've already brought down to there, and I can come back as requested. But let me get forward to the physical therapy and sports area on the first floor. This one is just turned on its side. Here is all the locker rooms. The natatorium is up here, and the gymnasium is down here, and it has a direct connection to it. The second floor overlaps. You can see not only the first floor of the Norman Regional Hospital Wellness Center, but in addition to that, overlaps the existing locker rooms that are right next to the natatorium. Moving further, I want to give you a kind of a rendition. Now, this one you saw at the very beginning. This is standing in the parking lot, basically right where the buses would park, looking forward on. Here's your main entry piece. Here's the gymnasium entry piece. You can see the roof line as it faces you from the gymnasium, and then the roof line of the City of Norman natatorium. Now, some parts of this are in motion and being designed, developed, but here's where we stand right now. So it's the same we've given you in the past and the same we're giving you now. When we look a little bit closer, here's the entry piece, of course, the Norman Regional sign, and Family Aquatics sign, City of Norman, and of course, the natatorium roof line above. We're looking at administration is right here, and this piece would be for a private retail. Looking down, moving downwards, you get to the young family sports entry to the gymnasium. You can see in the background is the entrance to the main entry to the natatorium and the gymnasium and the wellness center. This is looking inside the gymnasium, which hasn't changed. You can see all the basketball courts are laid out, and then all the volleyball courts are on them as well, laid out line work. And this would be a shot of the professional court and how it is laid out diagonally to it. This is a shot of the Young Family Athletic Center natatorium, looking from the entry piece as you would enter in to the direct left over here. Just beyond sight would be the places for where the people, the spectators would sit. This is the intervening wall that leads you when you go through this glass wall. In these doorways on either side, you go into the warm-up room. And then, of course, we get down to the disciplines. The only reason I want to show you beyond is we've begun to work on the landscape of this and where all the tree layout will be. Of course, the irrigation and all the sod. And of course, updates on smaller areas like the entry piece here, which is the entry piece to the natatorium and the gymnasium from the main turnaround, plus the entry piece that would go to the gymnasium itself, and how we're going to lay out some of the concrete and how we're laying out planting beds to that as well. There's a lot of discussion about how we're doing this and what we're saying to the city, but that's of not as much consequence here. Where we wanted you to know that we've fully looked at this for all the ways in and out and all the ways that we're going to administer the code for this. And on the other piece, well, that was the end of the piece. I'll be glad to entertain any questions, but of course I don't want to take up anybody's time. So let me give it back to Jason. And if you have any questions specifically about this, feel free.
Carrie, I think you've got a question from the chat.
Has this plan been vetted through City of Norman and in terms of the fire marshal requirements? And what I mean by that is, are they not requiring 360 access around the building?
We have got work with doing the 360 currently right now. We are putting in that road that you specifically noted, plus an enlarged athletic area to the back currently. So yes, we took that to the fire marshal. He prescribed that. We looked at the code and we're putting that in now.
So the turf fields as shown will change?
Would change. The building location more than likely might change to move forward to allow not only the fire lane, but the athletic.
And will that come at the expense of any parking?
That is our intent, to make no parking loss, 0.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So this is Jerry Crone, the project architect for FSB. Right now, we are in the middle of working with our civil engineers to figure out if the road is better to go all the way through, or if we're going to have a hammerhead on both ends, move the building closer back to the fence, and putting the futsal court against the fence of the airport. The hard part for us is that we are in an emergency situation. We're egressing about 3,500 people out of the gym and the natatorium, for that matter, to the east. So we have to put in at least a 15-foot sidewalk right on the edge of the building. So we're right in the middle over the last day or so of working all that out with our civil engineers. So in our next report to you, we'll be able to show you the final site plan, but the intent is to have the exact same number of parking places.
Makes sense. Thank you for the explanation.
John, are there going to be fire hydrants close to the building?
We're going to go through that. We would love to put a fire hydrant there. We're going to go to the fire marshal, of course, and the city of Norman to be able to place that. And placement of that would be perfect right about there or up against the building closer to it, to allow the fire truck any fire truck that would have to approach the building, come up, attach it directly to the fire hydrant and be right there.
Yeah, right now, John's right. Right now, we're planning all of the utilities to come onto the site from the north, down our new access drive, what's called the 30-foot interior drive. We're going to turn them right there at the employee parking or the staff parking and bring them to that backside east road and then turn north-south. So we're going to have a utility corridor, which is part of the things that we're juggling on that backside along our new road and hammerheads or the continuous road, whichever way it turns out. So what you'll see as the design develops, all of the mechanical rooms and major utility entries are on the east side, on the airport side.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One, the retail space, that's new to me. Where did that come from, and what are we expecting to be in there? And then also in prior iterations, there was a meeting room adjacent to the pool that was going to allow us a space for officials to meet, similar to your tournament room over here on the basketball side. But it looks to me as though that has gone away.
Let's deal with the first question first. I'll turn that one over to Jason Olson.
Yeah, Alva, the retail space has been in there for a while. I think for the past couple of renditions they have done. We've had a few talks with Ray Young about possibly putting in a Adidas store. We don't know if that's going to come to fruition. So as we move a little bit farther down into design development, we're gonna either get final words from Adidas or not. If they don't end up doing it, I imagine that retail space would grow a lot smaller, and we'll save some room in there. And I think Santa Fe would still like to run retail out of there of some kind or another, because there's still a lot of money to be made from jersey sales and other supplies that people forget, athletic supplies that they forget on their way to come to a tournament or to a swim meet.
Jason, I thought I heard you say bathing suit.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully nobody forgets their bathing suit, but I'm sure it's happened a time or two.
It happens. And what about the officials room?
The officials room is the meeting room plus the aquatics right here. Officials could meet in there, and of course the meeting room would be open to all tournaments as well. But we placed it right here next to the admin, so that admin has a quick access to it, and it can be rented out and used for other facilities such as birthday parties, things of that nature. You'd have a place to be plus the pool available to you.
Kent? Sorry, I think we lost Kent. Okay, it's not a very big space, and part of what we have to do is provide space for the officials and some other things, and that's sort of stuffed off to the side. So I'll have to defer to Kent as far as whether that'll work for our purposes. It was a complete change. And also on the bathrooms, at the risk of once again being the squeaky wheel, will the men's and women's team locker rooms be lockable from one side so that we can control access by adults versus children to accommodate safe sport guidelines?
Absolutely. That one comment has struck through us through the entire design process, and we have built around that. So yes, one side, the access side from the corridor would always be locked and or watched. Access from the inside would of course be open at all times.
Okay.
I think the meetings rooms are probably adequate, especially if we have access to that extra meeting room that's, I guess, what's that, the west side there that you were pointing at. I did have one question. Is the ceiling, is it lower over the warm down pool than it is over the competition pool? Does it drop down?
Yes, sir. That one is a flat roof. We're going to put rooftop units on there, and we just didn't see the need for that much air and space. Whereas in the competition, to get people in there, have a big roomy field, but of course have those increased height of the spectators down here, we definitely thought that it would be prudent to be able to raise up that roof.
Okay, so what height is that over the warm pool?
That's a good question. I'm going to defer to Jerry Crone on this one.
I think we've got that up at 18 feet to the top of the structure. So the joist will be 2 or 3 feet below that. So 18 to 15 to the bottom of the joist is where the lighting fixtures will be.
Okay.
Kent, it says 143 feet of storage. Is that sufficient?
I thought the storage looked pretty good on it. I really did. I thought the storage looked
okay. And I know in the picture, it looked like the blocks were facing towards the big glass wall so that all of our behinds could be shining through the wall. Is that a permanent answer on that? I know at some point we discussed the idea of perhaps not having kids bending over with their butts to the window.
Yes, ma'am. One of the things that could easily come up is, see, there's 2 panes of glass in this storefront. We could easily make the first pane right here all the way up and non-viewable.
I have to admit, I'm enjoying the squeaky wheel. I like that. So we don't have to show our butts to the kids.
I have a female competitive swimmer, and I'll be honest, some of those female competitive suits do not cover as much as I think they should.
That's for sure. I think though, Alba, I think the blocks are going to be set up on what's the west side, and so the blocks will not be backing up to the wall.
The west, you mean the south side?
Left. I had trouble with the things flipped over, but not in between the 2 pools.
So faced over towards the bathrooms.
Yeah. Right. Oh no, on the other side. The other side.
This is the east version. This is the east wall right here. West is right behind us, right over here.
Maybe I don't know.
So the
Yeah, do you see
lanes
the
run
do you see the
north-south,
blocks?
Kent.
Yes.
So that would put blocks, if we move the blocks to the other side of the pool, that would put the blocks on the bathroom side of the pool.
Oh, I see what you're saying. And
You're talking about over here, correct? Towards the bathrooms, towards the
Yeah, they're on
lockers.
the right side of this picture.
Yes, correct. So I'm sorry, could you ask the question again? Make sure that we know we've defined it. We'd love to answer it.
I think that's Kent's question.
can we look at it? Can we look at it real quickly on the drawing?
Sure.
You know, instead of the picture.
Okay. Here's that east wall that we were looking at. Your vantage point in
Hold
that.
on. Okay, there we go.
Your vantage point in the rendition is standing here looking this way.
The blocks are on the left, which is the north wall.
The blocks
Right.
are on the left, and that's a glass wall going down there, and that's your point, Albus. That's a glass wall.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, they're certainly better there than the other side where the people are going to be working in those rooms. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of standard. Mitch Park's got those glass nails down there. I mean, you're going to have some sort of blind system anyway, so that ought to be something you can deal with.
Okay. Is there a ramp for the stadium seating and the bleachers for in the pool side?
For these
You know, that's
ones,
always a
go ahead.
that's
Please.
always a hard question for the ADA access.
Because
We
it
all
looks
know
like it's just stairs.
The intent was to have stairs there to keep the pool deck, but of course we will have ADA access up to the top through an elevator system.
Okay. And do we still have a ramp in the small pool?
In the warm-up pool, right here,
Uh-huh.
right behind this this bench right here, inside the pool itself.
Okay. I think that's my questions at the moment.
Since we've got this up here, Richie, did you want to say anything about just the operations of the sports medicine facility, just how you kind of envision that might look, just for say like any sort of like a tournament on either side of the equation?
Sure. Our goal, our vision for this space is to make it an elite space so that when there is competition, that we have the athletic trainers, the therapists, even physicians who would be available to monitor and or see any injuries that might occur at those big events. They won't be there, you know, just all day, every day. But when we have those big events, we plan to staff that and have, you know, all hands on deck and ready and available to help when there might be that need. So we're excited to be in that space and make it just elevate its capabilities and its use, and really having the NBA court where it's located currently is a unique opportunity for the coaches and or the agents that might come in and observe players for those competitions, and them having a space in which they can observe. They do that privately as well as interact with the crowds if they choose to do that too. So we are eager to operate from the orthopedic side to integrative health and wellness on the general, I want to say general athlete, it's because that's done for all levels of athletes. So anybody, any age, having the ability to be seen by a physician, whether it's an injury from sport or just recovering from surgery, and having that capability, we're very excited to be there and make that happen.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions for John or Jerry with the design?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just want to explain something that we're kind of struggling with. So everyone, when they have an elevated ramp like that and seating like that, everyone prefers a ramp, right? Because they're easier to traverse, they're more gentle, and they're easy to get up and down. But in our particular case, what that would mean is that the ramp would be on the front of the seating. And if you think about it, that means all of the people, all the parents, all the kids that are going up and down that ramp, the people that don't care about the current heat going on in the pool will be walking around that ramp the whole time, which will really annoy patrons. So we're leaning right now towards doing a lift. Lifts aren't our favorite thing to do, but in this particular case, to make sure that your sight lines are clear, we're really leaning towards a lift.
I don't have a beef with that. I'll be honest. My only reason for endlessly asking about things like ramps is because I figure at some point we'll get tagged by the portion of the community that cares about the accessibility. And I do believe that they should have accessibility. I don't have an opinion because I don't have a need for ramps versus lifts. But I do think that that should be addressed for the community, given that it's a community facility.
I will add to kind of what you're talking about right now. At the end of each phase of design, we have contracted with a group called Macintosh, and they're going to come in here and fully evaluate everything that has to do with ADA in this facility. So they're going to do it 3 times, and we're going to be working with them the whole time to make sure that this facility is fully ADA accessible.
That's good. I would like us to err on side of accessible where we can, just because it is a community facility.
Correct. We're on your side.
Hey, Jason, this is Brian.
Hey, Brian.
When did, I guess maybe I missed something or it's new. When did the outside turf field come into the equation?
That is actually Norman Regional that is going to put that in. So that is part of their training facility. I don't know if Richie kind of wants to speak to that a little bit.
I think he just
Sure.
left. Oh, he's there. Good.
No, I had to join by phone. I've got another meeting I have to go to, so I thought I would join you while I was driving. The turf surface, so inside on the first floor, there is an area that will be turf, and there can be sled training, other types of training that occurs indoors. There's a big door that will be for lack of a better term, an airplane hangar door that will open, that will allow training to happen inside and then also go outside. And that extension would be onto that turf area. So we've been in conversation with, I can't think of what, Tim McLaughlin, Fields and Futures, that's what it is. In conversation with Fields and Futures about the possibility of having that outdoor turf being potentially a regulation size futsal court, so that you could just add another activity to the facility and the location. And our purpose would be to do occasional training out there and then make that available as well to the facility. So if James says, hey, tonight we're going to do, whatever, we're going to play as parachutes, we can go outside and be on the turf surface or what have you. But it's just an added feature that would allow us to bring other activities to the site and do additional training and the like.
Richie, is that a cost that's borne by Norman Regional and their funding?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. I didn't know somebody would ask, so I just figured that let's get that out in the open.
I have a question about that as well.
What we're hoping is that through Fields and Futures, we also would have some grant funding opportunities that just might be a possibility. Go ahead, Alpha.
I've been, in my head, the space allocated to Norman Regional has been sort of a no-fly zone that I had assumed you all would use for your purposes, but it wasn't really a particularly useful purpose for any of the other activities going on. So, but it sounds like, particularly with that lower level, would that be a space that could be used for, say, dryland activities when we have dryland purposes? Or, I mean, I assume the basketball has times when they do strength training exercises and that sort of stuff, or is that closed to the rest of the facility except when Norman Regional is running some sort of programming?
So
does that
it
make
would
sense?
it does, and it would be when we have patients in the space, it's going to have to be closed. It can't just be,
Sure.
It won't be operated like a fitness facility. So what we're trying to do is be as accessible as possible, and where it's appropriate, we do make it available. But the primary feature when we were John earlier had shown the second floor in particular, those are a number of exam rooms for our orthopedic surgeons and then our family medicine physician and the like. So first floor athletic training and physical therapy. So there will be fairly heavy traffic for those types of patients. And then alternatively, we want to be able to do some fitness training of multiple ages, whether that's strength, whether that's, yoga, conditioning, or other stretching and other conditioning that could occur in that space. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible, knowing that it will be PHI or, HIPAA information, protected information that we have to be very cognizant of.
So when Norman Regional's closed, essentially, would that be an available space that could be used? The downstairs, not the upstairs.
Right. We're talking with potential other, trainers who would do strength and conditioning and want to be able to work with athletes and or, the weekend warriors or those who are turning those setbacks into comebacks, and that space, that's part of what we're working through is how could that be available and accessible.
Okay. So from a practical standpoint, it would not be accessible because your overarching goal is to have it utilized all the time in some form or fashion through either yourselves or these organizations that you're talking about.
Yeah, medical services.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
dose
understand.
of medical services. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to understand.
I think through this, Cynthia, did you get your question answered?
She just said
I was curious about if this was a cost addition or if that meant that it was coming at the expense of something else already built into the already typed it. That was my question.
Yeah, Cynthia, that is all Norman Regional's cost. It is not coming at the cost of the city.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for FSB or anything else on the design? Okay. All right, so I think, Jason, are you doing this next part about the update on cost estimate?
I am. If I can figure out how to share screen, I was sitting here laughing at everybody else, and then when it becomes my turn, I had the same problem. So all right, I'm going to give you a quick project update and cost estimate review. I will partner up with our construction manager at risk, G. Johnson. Andy will help me answer some of these questions, and he has a little portion that he'll review with everybody as well. So let's get started. The first thing is, we have the picture behind here. I think y'all have already seen that. Just wanted to add that in case we had to use this for another presentation. Already went over the name of the facility. The Young family have chosen the Young Family Athletics Center. We will break ground on July 21st. This will be more of a ceremonial groundbreaking. We'll be going and asking for a few GMPs from the city. The first one, the guaranteed maximum price with G. Johnson, will cover clearing the property, foundation work, and we will also order steel early. The big reason we're ordering steel so early, and Andy can cover this a little bit as he gets farther into it. Right now, the markets are crazy. Steel's very expensive. We want to make sure that we give them enough lead time as possible. And it's about 6 to 7 month wait time on that. So it's this kind of works in perfectly with our schedule. We can make sure that we get the steel time in here and it won't hold up construction at all once we get to the structure construction. The construction of the actual structure, which we believe will start in early 2022. We will go out for bid sometime in November or December, find out what the true construction cost once we get those bid numbers back. And we are looking to open the facility around March 2023. So once we get going, we think we'll be going pretty fast on this project. Wanted to cover, this is just hot off the presses. This is the facility logo. We worked with one of a bunch of Trey Young's team, one of his designers on his team, and this kind of looks similar to his TY logo, if anybody has seen that. pretty simple logo. When you look at it, you know, a lot of imagination. We'll at some point or another, we'll get the guy that designed this. He has a lot of hitting meanings in it, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but right here you can see the Y. You can see the F right here, and A, C, and that kind of describes everything to go on with the Young Family Athletic Center. Quick project budget summary. This is our original budget. Norman Ford set aside $22.5 million. We had a specific TIF supplement for a rec facility that is $2.7 million. Young Family Foundation is donating $4 million for a total budget of 29.2. When you add in Norman Regional's portion, the cost of their building with all costs included is $6.6 million for a total of $35.8 million. And I want to point out that the Norman Regional Health System portion of this building, if you remove that portion and shrink our building, basically magically make that shrink and disappear, if for some reason they are not added, or if they didn't even exist, they are paying penny for penny of exactly what it costs to put that building in there. So if you completely remove that portion of the building, it would save us $6.6 million on the construction. And I can't repeat this enough. They are paying their own way. Every single corner of the foundation, roof, they are paying for it. We worked very closely with our construction manager to make sure that all that is happening. Now we're going to go over our projected estimate breakdown. If you kind of look at, kind of put my mouse out of reach, but if you look at soft costs right here, this is projected. It's going to cost us about $2.85 million, and includes architectural engineering, project oversight, testing, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Well, actually, I have a different line for that, so I accidentally added that. But that's if you look at these first three right here, that's your soft cost about $2.85 million. FF&E is projected to cost about $896,000. We have set aside in this project for Norman Ford Art $265,000. The Young Family has been very adamant that they want 1% of their donation to go to an art project. So our original budget for Norman Ford Art on this project was $225,000, but again, with their 1% of $4 million, it goes up to $265,000. Our owner contingency is $850,000. And then when we believe that this construction cost total on this first round of estimate is about $29 million, almost $30 million, for a total projected cost of $34,725,935. Kind of go a little bit farther into that. That leaves us, as the building stands right now, with a total delta of about $5.2 million. We believe that these this goes along with the escalation in construction costs recently. We did, in our original price, did have some money set aside for construction escalation, but the cost of construction in the past 3 months has exploded, and we can put any number of factors in there. I think we can sit here and have a separate discussion about why construction is up 30 to 40% across the board, but it kind of leaves us at a $5.2 million deficit if we build the building how it's kind of presented in this SD. We eventually, we as city staff have confidence between a few funds that we can make up this $5 million, and we would ultimately like for direction from the ad hoc committee for staff to go seek this $5.2 million. We believe we can find that anywhere between the multitude of funds, Norman Ford savings, a hotel motel tax fund, even capital funds. We would just like for, get your blessing, your approval to give us the next 90 days or so to kind of go and put together a $5 million, where we can pull $5 million out of other budgets to kind of add to this project.
Will that slow us down again?
No, not at the pace we're going. They're going to continue to design the building as staff starts looking for this money. And this is kind of where I'll hand it off to Andy from G. Johnson.
Hi, I'm Andy Ryan with GE Johnson Construction. We've also got Randy Nance and Josh Young on the call. Randy Nance is our general manager. Josh Young will be the project manager on the project. I'm our director of pre-construction services. Just to echo what Jason said, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the process that we went through. I'll be quick because I know we're running a little bit long, but this is pretty important stuff. So you can see from AGC from last March to this March, the increases that we've seen. I think we've all heard about it. Right now, we think some of this is speculative. We think that the prices will come back down some, but there's just a boom that's happening as we speak. There's a lot of reasons. Shutdowns of material shortages is basically what it comes down to. A year's worth of backlogged projects and just some other market forces that are driving that. So this is just to reiterate what Jason told you, that right now materials are as high as they've been ever. We think that this will stabilize. We think it'll come down, but we're making good decisions as a group so that we can make sure that we make the right decision for Norman in the long term. So Jason, if you can go to the next slide, just to give you an idea of what our process looked like. We're pretty early in design still, but we wanted to make sure that we gave the citizens of Norman the most accurate budget we could. So we went through and we did a full quantity takeoff on everything, which just meant that we were able to, if you'll hit the next slide, put together about a 30-page estimate that's available. I'm not presenting it all here because I don't want to put you guys to sleep, but we did about 100 pages worth of takeoff. We had about 30 pages worth of detailed estimate, which is all information that went into the executive summary, which I don't think we have next, but Jason, if you could. And then we went through a process with the designers where we looked at the original budget, we looked at the overages, and we worked together to pull out $2.5 million on items that would not impact the operation of the facility. Understanding that you guys have a lot of stakeholders, that it's really important that we deliver on the promise that this committee and Norman Forward has made to the citizens. We looked at several things that reduced costs without impacting the longevity or the operation of the building and what we're giving to the community. So I'll talk about some of the big ticket items later, but this is just, again, showing our work so that you guys know that we worked with FSB, with all the other team members to get as much pulled out of the project as we thought was reasonable and still be able to deliver the building that was promised to the community. So Jason, you can keep. So here's our overall budget. You can see that we've split the area into 5 buckets so that we can track the contributions of each of these groups. So we've got the site, we've got multi-sport gymnasium, we've got the Aquatics Center, we've got the Norman Regional piece, and we've got the core areas, which is what we're calling the main hallway, the entry, the admin offices, all of those other spaces that don't fall into the big 3 blocks. And again, this is all of this is backed up by 100 pages of documents that are available. But you can see it all adds up to the numbers that Jason was talking about earlier. And this is, to be clear, this is construction costs, not total project. There are other costs that go into that make up that difference. So Jason, schedule, Jason touched on it. We're going to start. There's pressure to have a groundbreaking, and also I think it makes logical sense to start early with the dirt work and ordering the steel. I think the market is starting to calm down a little bit, but for now, we've got steel lead times are huge, and so we'll have a early package where we'll start dirt work. We'll have the groundbreaking. We'll show positive momentum to stakeholders, and then we'll purchase the steel so that it is here and ready to go. So that when we start construction in earnest in December of 2021, we hit the ground running and we're ready to go for that completion date that Jason was talking about earlier. And so just so that you all know kind of the steps that we moved. I'm not going to talk about the reduction of the volleyball courts. I'm going to let Jason talk about that one. That wasn't my idea. We use TPO roofing in lieu of standing seam roofing in a lot of areas, and that saved about $600,000. These are areas that only time you'll really be able to see them is from an airplane, and so it made sense to do that. We looked at a 2 pound per square foot reduction in the structural steel that we're working with the engineers to make sure if we can lighten up the structure that is less raw material, which leads to less cost. We originally had cow wall in the basketball in the multi-sport gym. That's actually maybe not something that you really want in there. It leaves shadows and it can be distracting to people who are shooting. So we were able to take that out, which is actually an improvement, but is not, but saves money as well. In the locker rooms for the natatorium, we looked at the option of either doing CMU block or doing drywall, like moisture resistant drywall with tile. And the tile was actually, the moisture resistant drywall with tile, full height was actually a savings over the CMU. It also gives you flexibility so that the spaces can be the size they want to be and not be dictated by the size of the CMU. And so I feel like that's one of those value adds that actually cost less when we looked at it. And then another big one is we looked at, we're going with a cast in place concrete pool instead of a Murtha pool system. We actually probably would not have been able to use a Murtha pool system, which is a modular panel system. But it's a proprietary system, and the state bid laws, we would have to do a sole source justification, which we would not likely have been, we don't feel like would be likely to be approved. So I think it's a better product anyway, but I know there was discussion about Murtha, and we steered away from that as a group with Water Technologies, which is the pool consultant. And that ended up saving about $175,000. So a lot of good opportunities to save while either not impacting the experience or actually giving a better product. So,
and I will add to what Andy's saying, the reduction of 12 volleyball courts had to do with the width of the gymnasium. We had to remove several hundred square feet from the gymnasium, and you're looking through this value engineering list right here with the $2.5 million of G.A. Johnson value engineered out. You can add another $3.5 million from the reduction of volleyball courts just from the square footage that we removed out of to go to 12 courts. So we'll have 2 volleyball courts. I believe it's on the east side laid over basketball courts, and one's on the west side will be just a volleyball court laid on top of a single basketball court. And I kind of want to reiterate as we kind of move forward before we take some questions that this $5 million that we're asking for us to, we want you to ask staff to go find out how to fund this. This is not necessarily adding $5 million to the project as of right now. It's just telling staff to go tell us where in the budgets, basically to go find the $5 million, and then we'll work on adding that to the budget later. Is there, I think, Anthony Francisco, our finance director, I hate to throw you under the bus. Did you have it? I think you called in. Do you have anything else to kind of add to that? I don't know if he's fully on yet. But anyways, I'll move on to questions. I'll take some questions if anybody has a question about.
It looks like he's on but muted. Jason.
Yeah, I did see
There
the
you
question. I did see the question from Dr. Rogers in the chat. I tried to respond to it in the chat, but yeah, one of the major ways that we may think we may be able to come up with some of the funds is to use the room tax revenue that is dedicated to park development and just dedicated to this project. We are just beginning to work on how much money that might be, but it would probably be $3.5 million or thereabouts that we could come up with from existing funds. It's just that those funds would not be able to be used for anything else for the next, for the life of Norman Forward, basically.
Any other questions or about the financing portion, the estimate?
Yeah, sure. Anthony, could you remind me what's the Norman Forward overall budget? I know it's been a minute since I looked at those budgets, but the overall budget, that last time I remember, we were kind of tracking on a shortfall, but I forget what that amount was.
It's up around $11 million over the life of Norman Forward. We have saved about $6 million on the projects to date. And so we'll just continue to monitor things, manage projects as best we can. And we do think that this is a manageable project. And again, it's an exciting project.
Okay, and just one more clarification about what you said, Jason, that it's a 5 million deficit from the current project plan, the funds that we have. And okay, so you said
it's about we have about a $5.5 million delta, but that's within 1% of the total construction cost, which we think that, you know, with talks with G. Johnson, we think that that either can be made up by the market stabilizing, or even if we get $5 million additional, if we get to bid day and we're so far over, we're going to have to just basically figure out other savings inside the project.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. I was confused by, it's okay. I have a COVID brain, so I'm lots of end grading. So
everybody's working to get out of that. So
yeah, no, I have papers to grade. So I just wanted to be, I just wanted that to be clear. This is really just sort of cost projections and not project creep kind of thing.
Very correct. I mean, the market for all construction is blown up everywhere, and you see that from the cost of wood to steel to concrete. Everything is more expensive right now, and we are hoping that the market stabilizes, and even if we add $5 million eventually to this project, hopefully we don't spend all that. We're not creeping the project at all. It's true construction cost changing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so Jason, just to understand the ask, this is very different than when last time, you know, we said, hey, you know what, this was the Norman Forward budget for this. You know, we're dreaming big. Now the budget has grown a whole bunch, and then we sent this back to council, you know, to find alternate funding sources. Went out to bond, that failed. So what you all are asking for us is basically to direct you all to direct city staff to come up with the delta on this, just based off of you know, surpluses, or I guess I should say, you know, like cost savings in other Norman Forward projects, or anything else that Anthony is able to put pen to paper and make happen.
Yeah, I think we want you to ask city staff to seek options for funding for the $5 million delta in this project, and come back to you. I mean, I don't think we have to add this, but we'll come back to you at the end of DDs and tell you what we've come up with. And it could be in a number of things. It could be the hotel motel fund, capital fund, Norman Forward savings, even though that's looking bleak. Just give us, it'd be probably about 60 to 90 days to come up with that answer, and we'll present it back to you before we ultimately take it to council.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,
if somebody can think of a better way to word that, I have city staff seek. Okay, I'm getting read back to me.
I move that city staff explore sources of additional funding to fill the $5 million delta prior to taking this to city council, and bring that information back to this committee.
Very well said, Alva. Okay, here's a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Steve.
Okay, Steve. All right. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay. All right. We'll do a roll call vote on Alva's motion. Alva?
Aye.
All right. For myself, aye. Steve?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Richie?
Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
And Nancy? Did we lose Nancy? We may have lost Nancy. Okay, so with these, that passes unanimously. Okay, great.
I guess after that.
All right, we have reached basically the end of the agenda, so we're at the miscellaneous discussion. Is there anything else, Jason, that you all need to discuss, or is there any questions that anybody has?
Did we get a vote from Richie? I'm not sure if we got a.
I heard him. Yes, he said.
Okay, perfect. There's nothing else for us to discuss. We look forward to coming back with you here at the end of design development and give you an update on, first of all, how the new floor plan will look and where we are finding this $5 million at.
Okay.
I've got
So
one
approximately
question, please.
when does the design development wrap up, approximately speaking?
It's scheduled to end at the end of June, and then you probably give us anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks to come back and present all of that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Carrie, you had something?
Yes. Jason, are you going to be sending the deck out that we've seen today?
You want us to send the presentations out? Is that what?
Yes. If you would, please. I think it'd be great.
Yes, please.
We'll make sure to happen. So that everybody that presented today, make sure you send that to me. I think I already have, that would just be you, James. I already have the SD package, and we'll send that out.
Terrific. Thanks.
Okay. Does anybody have anything further? All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for reconvening, and thank you, Jason, to you and your team, and then also to James and the Santa Fe Center. We're excited, to get things going with you all, and then John and Jerry with FSB. Thank you all for presenting. Always doing a great job with keeping us up to date on things, and Andy, you and your team with G. Johnson. Appreciate that as well. So, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second.
And there's a second. Okay, we are adjourned. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.